The network block of IT 305 talks about how the internet works, things like sending an email from point A to point B. Let's start with a brief introduction on how, in general, the internet works. You're sitting in class and you find a neat cat photo that you want to send to your friend B. Arthur. B. Arthur lives thousands of miles away, so now you have to figure out a way to send it. And we'll see how a message transverses from, say, Thayer here to, say, Los Angeles, where B. Arthur is. But few people have a direct connection between themselves and their destination. So what happens is we take our file and we upload it to the internet using a server or some kind of service. Then it is downloaded by B. Arthur for her to receive that file. We choose our service by opening the application we want to use. However, how do we know where to go? Well, that all comes into play with the DNS server. The DNS server takes the name of the service we've opened, whether it be Facebook, Yik Yak, or our mail, and then translates it into a IP address. This IP address acts like a home address on your mail, where it directs your email or your packets on where to go. So we figured out where we want to go and what service we want to use. And so we go back to our computer where it's going to start the process. So here is our image. Our computer is going to break it up into little pieces known as segments. These segments, well, it's segmenting the data because we can't send all of this image at once. It needs to be sent into smaller pictures, probably because our bandwidth isn't that great. Once it breaks these up, it's also going to decide, hey, what's in these and how do we want to send? Do we want them sent with an acknowledgement they were received? And when we receive them, we need to know how to interpret the bits. Because remember, this is just going to be zeros and ones. And those zeros and ones can mean anything. So let's go ahead and look at the path of one packet. The CPU has already segmented it, but it's also going to add some additional information. Here, the segment has added whether or not a response is required, in this case yes, because of the TCP protocol, and what kind of service it is, in this case SMTP or email. This tells the other side, the receiving side, how to interpret the bits it receives. This packet, this segment, then moves down to the network card, where more information is added. The segment becomes a packet. At this stage, an IP address is added, one for the source and one for the destination, to tell the system, the internet, where the packet should end up and where it came from. The packet then moves through the network card toward the Ethernet cable, and more information is added. Here, a permanent address is added to the packet, and it becomes a frame. The MAC address is unique to each network card and a unique identifier about where this frame then came from. This frame will then travel in the Ethernet card or Ethernet cable and become ones and zeros, or voltage. The frames as bits travel through the internet. Routers, as seen here, And here, we'll inspect the MAC and IP address and decide what path to the frame should take. Routers are connected through underground cable or sometimes overhead cables such as you see on phone lines. So, as our packet or our frame travels from one router, its IP address will be looked at and then forwarded on to a router that controls that certain network that that IP address exists under. It will continue traveling through a system of routers until it gets to its final destination where it will be stored. Once B. Arthur connects to her mail server, this same process goes back and the packet travels back to her house. As it arrives to B. Arthur's house, our destination, the layers are then stripped off. The MAC address has been recognized to fit this computer. The IP address is correct and is stripped off. And we're left with the segment and the protocol that is using, in this case email. Finally, the packet is returned with its fellow packets. The photo is finally reconstructed on the destination, B. Arthur's monitor, and she can see the photograph that you have sent. So we have successfully transferred one picture from one computer to another. And now you know how the internet works, and knowing is half the battle.